Welcome back to the Cyber Resilience Brief, the SafeBreach podcast that gets to the heart of what's happening in the world of cybersecurity. I'm your host, Tova Dvorin, and joining me as always is my co-host, Adrian Culley, our leading offensive cybersecurity engineer. Adrian, good to have you here.
Thanks, Tova. It's always a pleasure to share the microphone with you.
Thanks, Adrian. So, Adrian, we always talk about the latest threats, and we have a very special episode today, live just a few hours ago. A new report from CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, has been making waves. It's an analysis report on malicious listeners affecting Ivanti Endpoint Manager Mobile or Ivanti EPMM systems. For those of us who aren't in the weeds in this, and I know I'm not, what's the big deal here?
Well, Tova, it's a significant issue because it highlights a very sophisticated attack chain. CISA's report, specifically analysis report AR25-261A, AR, normally we're talking about actionable advisories. AR is an analysis report, which refers to malware. This report details how cyber threat actors are exploiting known vulnerabilities, specifically CVEs 2025-4427 and 4428 in Avanti's mobile device management software. The key takeaway is that these attackers are getting a foothold, a persistent backdoor on compromised servers. While the advisory does not name an actor, the exploitation of Ivanti devices has been linked to the Chinese People's Republic of China, state-sponsored threat groups, the Ministry of State Security, notably Salt Typhoon, Operation Panda, and Red Mike. In other advisories, making them potential actors in this instance as well. The industries affected range across finance, healthcare, retail, education, manufacturing, energy and utilities, and logistics. These are all users of the Ivanti Endpoint Manager Mobile and potentially impacted by this supply chain attack.
Yeah, so to make very clear, this isn't just a fleeting attack. If you breathe, if you are a part of a business, chances are you are encountering this attack. They are setting up shop, and as you can hear, in many different sectors.
Exactly, Tova. And the way they're doing it is quite clever. They're not just dropping one big payload. The report identified two distinct sets of malware, both of which contain loaders for what's referred to as malicious listeners. Think of a listener as like a silent phone waiting for a phone call. Once active, it allows the threat actor to run arbitrary code on the server. That's game over right there.
Arbitrary code, that sounds like a nightmare. That gives them full control, right?
It does, and the report breaks down these two sets of malware. The first set includes files like webinstall.jar and security handler onelistener.class. The second set also has a webinstall.jar with a different loader and a file called webandroidappinstaller class. The names are technical, but the function is the same to create a persistent listener. It's a classic case of reconnaissance and exploitation if we look at the kill chain. They find the vulnerability, they use the malware to maintain a presence for a longer term objective, whether that's data exfiltration, lateral movement, or further attacks.
Thank you for that. And what about the technique they use to deliver the malware? The CISA report mentions something about base 64 encoded chunks.
That's a crucial detail, Tova. It's a method designed to evade detection. Instead of sending a single recognizable malicious file, they break it down into smaller, innocuous looking chunks. The malware is encoded in base 64, which makes it look like standard data. They use multiple HTTP GET requests to bring these chunks in, and then the malicious loader reassembles them on the compromised server. Many traditional security tools are looking for a whole malicious file, not a bunch of small, harmless looking pieces. This is a great example of defense evasion.
So, to use the analogy we always use in these situations, these attackers aren't attacking the front door. They're breaking up into teams and sneaking in the side window.
Perfect analogy, Tova, and that's why detection is so difficult without the right tools and intelligence.
The report also provides some great resources for defenders, including indicators of compromise, IOCs, and detection signatures like YARA and Sigma rules. How important are these for organizations trying to protect themselves?
They're absolutely critical. IOCs, things like file hashes and network artifacts, are the fingerprints left by the attacker. They tell defenders what to look for on their systems. CISA providing these signatures is a huge benefit because it gives security teams a blueprint for proactive hunting. They can take these YARA and Sigma rules and scan their systems to see if they've been compromised. It's the difference between waiting for something bad to happen and actively looking for it. That's why threat intelligence sharing, like what CISA is doing here right now today, is so vital to the entire cybersecurity ecosystem.
Indeed. And beyond just checking for these specific fingerprints, what are some of the broader recommendations from the report for an organization with these Ivanti EPMM systems?
So, the CISA report has a few key recommendations that are worth repeating. First and most important, upgrade immediately. The vulnerabilities affect older versions of Ivanti EPMM. Upgrading to the latest version is the single most effective way to close this door. Second, they stress MDM systems as high value assets. These aren't just IT tools, they're critical infrastructure that manages all your mobile devices, which are often the weakest link in the chain. And finally, they recommend general cybersecurity best practices, including phishing-resistant, multi-factor authentication (MFA). This helps prevent attackers from using stolen credentials to gain access in the first place.
We've spoken about MFA before, Adrian. It seems like such a simple but powerful defense.
It is. It's probably the most effective control you can implement against a wide range of attacks. It's a simple step that can stop a lot of credential-based attacks in their tracks. It's a low-hanging fruit with a massive return on investment.
So, to summarize, this CISA report is a strong wake up call for organizations who are using Ivanti EPMM. It details a sophisticated attack using malicious listeners delivered in small, encoded chunks to evade detection. The good news is that CISA is providing the fingerprints, the IOCs and signatures that defenders need to hunt for this threat. And the most important defensive actions are to patch your systems, treat your mobile device management as a high value asset, and make sure you're using strong authentication like MFA. Did I get that right?
You absolutely nailed it, Tova. This report is a perfect example of why proactive defense and threat intelligence are so crucial. The bad guys are always evolving. We have to stay one step ahead. To that end, we have the attack code for this analysis report. It's loaded already in SafeBreach Labs. We're very proud to say within 3 hours. So there's a new scenario for CISA alert AR25-261A, the Ivanti Endpoint Mobile, which will allow all of our partners and customers to run this attack against themselves, find the gaps and remediate them.
That's right. So if you're a SafeBreach customer or partner and you're listening to this episode, go open SafeBreach and go run the attack. On that note, that brings us to the end of another episode of the Cyber Resilience Brief. Adrian, thank you so much again for your expert insight, especially on the fly as we have these breaking developments. And thank you to our guests, our listeners, for tuning in. We'll be back next week with another breakdown of the cyber landscape. Stay safe with SafeBreach.
Thank you, Tova.
The Cyber Resilience Brief is a SafeBreach podcast. It's produced by Tova Dvorin and executive produced by Adrian Culley. Sound design provided by Adobe Podcasts. Distribution provided by Podbean and extra support and love from the SafeBreach team. For more information on how adversarial exposure validation through SafeBreach can protect you and your business, no matter where you reside or what industry you're in, please visit us at www.safebreach.com.